Hey everyone, it's me again. I'm going to continue reading from my book, The 1900s. Yay! One family's ordeal. Floating clumps of wreckage joining and separating, careened around and slammed into buildings. The Klein house held up under this fearsome battering until Isaac, bunkered with his family on the second floor, saw a long piece of streetcar trestle crash squarely against the side of his home. The house creaked, tipped over into the water, and started breaking into pieces. Joe Klein, holding his two older nieces by their hands, turned his back toward a window, pushed from his heels, and broke through the glass and storm shuttered. They found themselves slowly on a piece of the house. No other survivors could be seen. Isaac, Cora, and their youngest daughter were thrown against the chimney, then into the bottom of the wreckage. Isaac, pinned down, expected to die. It is useless to fight for life, he remembered thinking. I'll let the water enter my lungs and pass on. He lost consciousness, but by some mysterious shifting in the ruins, he was propelled upward and came to with his body wedged between heavy floating timbers. During a flash of lightning, he caught sight of his youngest girl on wreckage a few feet away. A few minutes later, another flash revealed Joe and the other children. Cora was gone. Some were down below. The surviving Kleins struggled onto the best piece of flotsam they could find. For the next 3 hours, they drifted out of control, switching from clump to clump as their fragile rafts broke apart. Placing the children in front of them, the men turned their backs to the wind, holding up planks for puny shelter. Still, they were repeatedly hit and bloody. An especially heavy blow would knock them into the water, and they would struggle back to the children. At one point, by a miracle beyond explanation, the family dog, a fine honey retriever, appeared from nowhere and clawed his way onto the wreckage. The dog frantically smelled each of the clients and, unsatisfied, dashed to the edge. To Joe, it seemed that he was looking for Cora. The dog poised to jump and resume his hopeless search. Joe shouted and lunged for him, but he darted away and was gone. I can almost believe to this day that animals have superhuman senses in time of danger, Joe wrote years later. We never saw him anymore. Aww. Poor doggy. He was looking for his true owner, Cora. But since he couldn't find her, he just... Aww. I'm gonna cry. But I gotta continue. I love my kitties. I do. Both human and animals perform heroic feats under pressure. Daniel Ransom, a paper hanger and a strong swimmer, spent 2.5 hours in the water, leading and carrying 45 people to safety at a large brick building. At St. Mary's Infirmary, Joseph Corso, a harbor pilot, and his brothers used a lifeboat to ferry more than 150 people from the neighborhood to the hospital until their boat sank. Also at St. Mary's, a medical student, Zachary Scott, carried more than 200 patients from outbuildings to the main structure, wading through water that eventually reached a depth of 6 feet. Each year had to make the essential fateful decision, whether to hang back in self-preservation or dare the howling maelstrom at great personal risk to try to save others. Harry Maxson, 14 years old, lived with his family on the west side of town. Their house was the last remaining refuge in the neighborhood. Late that night, during a lull, Harry raised a kitchen window and listened. I heard what I didn't want to hear, he wrote years later. A woman yelling, "For God's sake, come and save us, our home is falling to pieces." I shut the window as quickly as I could and tried to forget that woman's voice. It was awful, so far away and still so penetrating. It made me shake all over. The next lull, he opened the window again and heard the voice cry, "I can see the lights in your house." That brought it home. He had to go. Harry told his father, but could not bear to say goodbye to his mother and set out with another man. They rode the woods toward the woman's house, which was floating and breaking apart. Inside were 13 children and 23 adults. Harry decided that they would take the kids first, calling on each man in the house to accompany them with one shot. The longest silence I ever heard, Harry recalled. But no one came out or even said boo. The men in the house were paralyzed with fear. At last, a large black man appeared with a white baby, followed by the other men carrying children and some of their wives. They struggled single file, each man holding on to the Maxon house. Harry and several men undertook another trip to rescue those who remained. The clients drifted out to sea. They saw no houses, lights, or people for 2 hours. Then the wind shifted to the south and blew them back to shore. They landed only 300 yards from where they had started. All were frightfully bruised. One of the girls was barely alive. They dragged themselves into a house with no roof or ceiling and collapsed for the night, bone weary and hurting. Please comment, rate, and subscribe below. And if you're on TikTok, please follow me. I need a lot of followers and a lot of viewers. And I'm selling stuff on both eBay and Mercari. They're both the same thing. So if you want my username to look up my stuff faster, comment down below, okay? Because I don't want to say what my username is for privacy issues, okay? Okay, well, bye.